Hi there, welcome to Pleasure Pathways, your go-to destination for empowering, informative, and fun content on sexual wellness and intimacy. Whether you're looking for expert tips, personal insights, or product reviews, we've got you covered. I'm your host, Venus O'Hara, and I'll be guiding you on this pathway to pleasure. Today I'm going to teach you or share with you how to have a multiple orgasm according to my own experience and my own learnings. And what is a multiple orgasm? Well, a multiple orgasm is a series of orgasms. So after one orgasm ends, another orgasm begins, and maybe another one, and another one. Who knows how many? Several orgasms in succession without a resolution phase. Now, what does that mean? Let's first of all talk about the 4 stages or the 4 phases of arousal. The 4 stages of arousal are based on the sexual response cycle, which was formulated by Masters and Johnson, which was identified by Masters and Johnson. Masters and Johnson have done extensive research on sexuality and sexual response and pleasure. And there is a series called Masters of Sex, which I highly recommend if you are interested in the history of sexual pleasure and how far we've come, pun intended. I would definitely recommend it. It's a true story. It's Bill Masters, who is a scientist, and he wanted to, let's say, observe or study sex in laboratory conditions. This is the first time it was ever done. And that's how they came up with these 4 stages of sexual arousal. And Virginia Johnson was his secretary at first, but she was a woman who was kind of quite sexually savvy, and they kind of became business partners, research partners. They even did some experiments together. So in this series, you see couples engaged in sexual activity with electrodes, and then there's people observing in scientific laboratory conditions. And I find it very arousing to have this kind of primitive expression of sexuality and arousal, and at the same time, this contained formality of people in white coats, looking at the scientific part of it. A lot of the information that we have about sexuality these days has come from the investigations of Masters and Johnson. So going back to the 4 stages of arousal, what are these stages? Well, the first stage is excitement, when the blood starts going down to the genitals, maybe producing an erection, lubrication, and thoughts of, oh, something is going to happen here. Oh my God. And during this stage, we also have heightened sensitivity. The next stage is plateau. So we've had excitement, and now it's a plateau, and the body is getting ready for orgasm. And during this stage, the physical response becomes more intensified. Your breathing quickens, your muscles are tense, and the pleasure is building in preparation for orgasm. And then stage 3 is orgasm. This is the peak of pleasure. This is the shortest stage, but it's also the most intense. And during this stage, you can feel a series of muscular contractions in the pelvic area. And it's also characterized by a release of built-up tension. And then stage 4 at the end is resolution, and just getting back to a grounded, just getting back to a non-aroused state. And during this stage, your heart rate will start to get normal or go back to a normal rate, as will your breathing, and your muscles relax. And some may experience a refractory period, and this means that further stimulation isn't possible. I kind of call this the game over, where you just had enough and it's like, okay, nothing's happening right now. We have to wait until we can build up that arousal again. So a multiple orgasm means that there is no refractory period. It's just after that orgasm, when those spasms, those muscular contractions subside, they start to build up again, and maybe again and again and again. Who knows how many times? But what a multiple orgasm isn't, let's say, if you've had a weekend of passion with your partner and you've had 10 orgasms. That doesn't mean multiple orgasm. A multiple orgasm refers to one orgasm that it kind of ends and then builds up again and again. It doesn't mean a long orgasm either. It's about distinct climaxes. So sometimes a multiple orgasm can actually take you by surprise. And maybe, when the spasms, they start to get weaker and subside, they might build up again and again. And that can be something that you haven't planned and you're thinking, oh wow, I didn't know my body could do this. It's a very nice and pleasurable experience. But I have learned how to provoke multiple orgasms, and it's really quite simple. Well, you can try it and let us know in the comments below. It might not always work, but what I found is using a sex toy similar to, let's say, Pockety. This is the perfect type of sex toy to provoke multiple orgasms on demand, according to my experience. Let's imagine you are stimulating the clitoris and you're moving the toy, let's say from side to side like this, or perhaps in circles, and those movements mimic our organic movements, what we would do if we are not using sex toys, how we would use our fingers to stimulate ourselves. So let's imagine this orgasm builds up and takes you, well, not maybe a surprise, you're expecting it because you can notice all of these different physical responses, and then you're enjoying these spasms, these muscular contractions, contracting, releasing. Imagine when it starts to subside, naturally we would stop stimulating that area. Our stimulation, the intensity of our stimulation also becomes less intense, and then we would naturally stop and take a breather and just be, that was lovely. But imagine, instead of taking that breather, instead of reducing the stimulation, actually building it up again can actually provoke that multiple orgasm. That's something that I have tried and tested many times. And it's been something that's been kind of fun to explore, because I think it's really fun to learn new things about your body and how it reacts to pleasure. You can never know too much about your body, in my humble experience. You could also try this with a partner if you are engaged in, let's say, cunnilingus or manual stimulation. Let's say the orgasm's coming to an end, maybe try and build up that tension again and see if it can provoke another orgasm. Multiple orgasms are more common among women. So just a quick recap. So you stimulate, and then when the orgasmic spasms are subsiding, becoming less intense, you build up that movement, build up that stimulation again for quicker movements, more intensity, more movement, and then let's see what happens. It might not always happen, but you will definitely have lots of fun trying. So if you tried this technique, let us know how it goes in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and you can find our products on the website tracysdog.com or on Amazon. And don't forget to check our blog for more in-depth articles, and follow us on Spotify for the latest podcasts. Thanks for being here, and see you next time on this pathway to pleasure. Mwah.